Good morning. How are you? Aren't you going to ask me how I am? I am divine, simply divine. Thank you. I'm living a divine life. You know, all week leading up to this talk, I've been trying to get myself to say that when people ask me, how are you? It happens, 10 to 15 times a day. It's just one of those things. Hey, how are you? Okay, good. How are you? All right, let's get to our order of business now, right? I've really been trying to say that. What a great affirmation. I am divine. Of course I am, right? I'm one with spirit. I'm the second unity principle. I am the essence of God. Therefore, I am inherently great, divine. Of course. Why has it been so hard for me? I think I only muttered it out 2 times all week. I did get a little bit more enthusiastic with my answers. I was able to say, I am good. I'm really good. I'm great. I'm wonderful. But why can't I say I'm divine? The lady in the grocery store always says to me, have a blessed day. I think that's so wonderful, so brave to show your faith like that, show your spirituality and wish that to others. So why can't I say I'm divine? I am. Darn it. So we're going to talk about that today. I'm in a metaphysics class now. I'm in Metaphysics 3 starting tomorrow. Paul Hesselbeck wrote this book. He's actually going to be one of our speakers in a few weeks, I think, which is awesome. Yeah. Way back in chapter 2, he talks about levels of consciousness and his heart-centered metaphysics. And so the 4 levels of consciousness, am I going in and out or am I okay? I'm good. The 4 levels of consciousness, Mary Ellen, are victim, victor, vessel, and verity. On the first level of consciousness, I saw on the internet somebody called these the islands of consciousness. So on the first island, victim island, oh no, we're alone on a deserted, barren island. It's horrible. We're a victim. We don't know what to do. You know that little guy from Winnie the Pooh, Eeyore? You know him? How are you, Eeyore? I lost my tail again. Poor Eeyore. He's always the victim looking for that little tail. Hasselbeck says that victim consciousness occurs when I believe and feel that everything is happening to me. I am the victim of the world I see and experience. I have little or no control about what is happening to me. I have temporarily forgotten all of my unity truth. And it can be something simple as you get in line at the grocery store and it happens to be the slowest line. Or you're driving down US 1, coming back from Miami, you're exhausted, you just want to get home and you get behind that tourist, just like taking it all in, barely going the speed limit. Or there's always the weather. You can be a victim of the weather any day you want around here. It's always hot. And there's bigger things like the stock market, the economy, politics, the king tides. Any burden that you have, you can choose to be a victim of it. You could have inherited a victim consciousness deep down from your ancestors. We're all in a victim state from this silly pandemic we're in, right? We all have to wear these masks and keep far away from people. And there are more serious offenses too, of course. It is legit. You could be a victim of a physical abuse or emotional abuse. You could be a victim of a crime, and that's real, and I don't mean to belittle it. One of my favorite teachers, Edwene Gaines, in her book on spirituality, on the chapter of forgiveness, shared with us that she was a victim at a very young age of sexual abuse. Now that's serious. She had a lot to overcome on that. And she shared something in her book that I think is worth reading. It's so easy to blame the other person, and so comforting to take on the role of the injured innocent. In regard to my own experience with sexual abuse, I had a particularly difficult time dealing with the effect it had on my self-esteem, and for many years I played the victim. I will be eternally grateful for a teacher who one day abruptly called me on my act. As I once again began my tale of woe, he said, "Listen, Toots, the victim stuff has gone on far enough. It's really a drag, and it's boring the tears out of the rest of us." I was shocked, she says. He had not given me the poor baby response that I was used to. As I gasped, he continued, "In order to deal with this childhood trauma, What you've got to do is create a new story about it. He paused and gave it some thought. Okay, here's your new story. Try this one on and see if it works for you. You came into this place to be a woman of power. Unfortunately, you were given an initiation in the misuse of power at a very young age. During this initiation, you learned what it feels like when power is misused, and it is horrible. Therefore, it is now safe for you to be a woman of power in the world because you know that you would never misuse nor abuse that power. Wow. She said, my world reeled and cracked open a bit. It didn't happen overnight, but little by little, one day at a time, I began to embrace this wonderful new story. A saga that completely reordered my personal history. It made me feel powerful rather than helpless and allowed me to give up being the role of the victim. She reordered the story, reframed it, looked at it in a different way. And we can do that too. We can get out of that victim consciousness and go into the next one, the victor consciousness. Oh, look, there's a tree. I make the best of that deserted island. I find a tree and some water. I find some food. I am victorious over this horrible situation that I'm in. I reframe the story. Hasselbeck says this occurs when I believe that I do have some ability to control the world and the events around me, and especially my experience of them. I have power over my thoughts, beliefs. I have choices. I have power to choose my actions. So Eeyore loses his tail again. What does he do? Puts it back on, and this time he gets some super glue. You're in the slowest line at the grocery store. What are you going to do? Well, reach for that trashy magazine and read up on the royals and your favorite movie stars. You're stuck behind the person going down US 1. What are you going to do? Put on some good music, wait for a good safe place to pass, or enjoy the scenery like the tourist is. There's a couple more serious examples in another book, Conscious Living, Finding Joy in the Real World by Gay Hendricks. I always go to books because I don't want to pretend that I know this stuff. It's the other people, the smart ones talking, not me. But he had a couple of good examples. He was overweight for his whole early life and young adulthood, and he felt like a victim of that. And so he says that the overweight person, alcoholic, can admit that they have a disease called alcoholism and can be victorious over this disease by taking the choice not to drink alcohol one day at a time. It's that simple, just like Edwene, reframing the story. For myself, when I experience the victim role, I quickly want to go into victor, and I tend to be a fixer. I don't like to dwell on the problem, I just want to fix it. Okay, acknowledge there's a problem, let's get over it. Let's not dwell on it. I have very little sympathy for the complainer. I don't empathize with the complaining person. I try to turn it around immediately. So earlier this year, while I was studying about these 4 levels of consciousness, a good friend of mine passed away, Chuck, and I found out quickly that I was to be the personal representative for his will. And I know he told me about this years and years ago, but I totally forgot, and I was completely shocked. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm the victim. How am I going to do this? This is way too grown up for me. I have no idea how to do this. This is really serious. This is hard. I'm too busy. I don't have time for this. I felt like the victim. Besides that, I'm in Key West, and this whole thing takes place up by Orlando somewhere in this little town called D-Land. What do I do? Okay, fixed it. I got some advice from a friend to get a lawyer, so I became the Nike commercial. Just do it. I got that plane ticket, booked the hotel, rented a car, drove up from Orlando to D-Land, met with Chuck's sister, got all the important papers, talked to a lawyer, met with a lawyer, went back to the hotel room, sorted through all the important papers, and I fixed it. I got it going. I got the process going. I didn't have to be scared and feel awful anymore. I felt like Victor totally. I was Rocky on the courthouse steps. Yay! I did it! So victor is definitely better than victim, right? Right. But no doubt to be the victor, there still has to be a victim. So let's go further. Let's go to the next island. Vessel. Your island has a little boat, and you can get in your little boat, and you can go to the mainland and get supplies. You can go get whatever you need there and bring it back to your little island and make your island a better place. Hasselbeck says, vessel is when I realize there is something greater or bigger than I am, bigger than I think, feel, or believe I am. There's a higher power. There's God, Spirit, Christ, divine mind. And I can tap into that source at any time. We all know this. We wouldn't be here if we didn't know this. It's our first unity principle. So why did I bother with those other two V islands? Let's just be the vessel. Well, you know, we're all human having this spiritual experience, or maybe the way around, we're all spiritual having a human experience, but that's the way it is. In vessel consciousness, we come to know that God is our source. And we can make our life better by relying on the gifts from God. And we can be an expression of God. We can be an expression of spirit, of that divine essence. And God can even show up through us. One of the tools that we use in vessel consciousness is our 12 powers. And there they are. Take a look at those. 12-step groups put a lot of emphasis on finding that higher power. That's a big part of recovery. And in the process, these people pull on some of the powers. They use the powers of wisdom and strength and will to be able to choose to act, to not take that drink, drug, or unhealthy food. They draw on those powers. My adventure as Chuck's personal representative, I had plenty of opportunities to be a vessel of divine expression. And I drew on several of those 12 powers in order to do so, because it didn't end right after the courthouse steps. It went on for quite some time. Divine order gave me the patience that I needed for the lengthy process, that I could trust that things were going to unfold step by step as they needed to. I maintained great faith, great belief in the prosperity of God, in the source of God, that all of those hospital bills would be written off and not taken away from the inheritance that Chuck's stepdaughter was supposed to get. And I asked for wisdom, mostly for clear communication with the banks, the lawyer, and the family members. And most importantly, I used the power of release or elimination to let go of any attachments that I had to the outcome. I recall a phone conversation with Chuck's nephew when I actually said, I am like Switzerland here. I'm just here to do what's been asked of me. I had no agenda, no attachment, and that felt pretty good. And we're getting close to the end of the process now, about 9 months later, and all is well. So on a lighter note, let's go back to Eeyore, my friend. If Eeyore were to treat his tail adventure, his tail problem with vessel consciousness, he would embrace all of these problems as an adventure. He would use some of his 12 powers. He would have faith that God will guide him to find his tail again. He would have strength to keep looking, to endure, zeal in the process of exploring the 100-acre woods in order to find his tail, and love from and for his good friends that help him along the way. So vessel consciousness is good, isn't it? Much better than the victim, even better than the victor. But Hasselbeck says that even in the vessel consciousness, we're still in a kind of positive victim consciousness, because something, God, is still only happening to us, or even through us, but not as us. Vessel is good, but Verity is great. Look at that. She found a heart-shaped island. God bless you, Mary Ellen. I didn't find those pictures. Mary Ellen did. You're not on an island at all. You are the island. And you are the water surrounding that island. And you are the mainland. You are the continents. You are the universe, as you are one with spirit, as you are divine. You are connected. We are all one. Wow. Hasselbeck says that verity consciousness occurs when we realize our oneness with God. There's no separation. We can use this truth with a capital T to overcome and or change our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. The truth of us is our Christ consciousness, our second unity principle. Our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. Jesus was in verity consciousness most of the time. That's why we know him as our great teacher, our way shower, our Jesus. And we can fully express that verity consciousness too. Most people don't feel that they do very often. That's okay. We all kind of slip back and forth, up and down through all the islands. We shouldn't be hard on ourselves about it. It is a good way to look at things. It's fun to analyze a situation in that way. I think that most of the time, I'm very fortunate now that I've been studying unity for almost 30 years, that I am most of the time in the vessel consciousness. I'm often in the victor consciousness, though, and sometimes I'm in the victim stage, but I don't stay there very long. I find it hard to say that I'm in a verity state of consciousness because I kind of feel like it's bragging or boastful. But I think I am. I'll be so brave as to say that I think I am in verity when I'm leading a meditation for you all, perhaps. At the risk of sounding woo-woo, it kind of feels like a vibration. It feels really amazing. So thank you for letting me do that occasionally. And I think that there's another time, for sure, that I've experienced when we can listen to others, truly listen to them, not just with our ears, but with our hearts and our souls and our spirits. Just this week, a friend of mine was listening to me in that way. And she heard more than the words that I was saying. I had been in this emotional funk for like 24 hours. I didn't know what it was all about, but she felt it. She heard it. She intuited that from me. And she did something amazing. She did something truly profound. She gave me a hug. Oh my God. In this time, she just completely put herself aside and gave me a hug. That to me was total verity, like nothing better than that. And oh my goodness, it was amazing. So how can we get to this verity consciousness and stay there? We keep on our spiritual path, right? We're doing it. We're here. We're listening. We're listening with our ears and our hearts and everything. You know the old funny joke, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. Well, it's true. How do you get to verity consciousness? Practice, practice, practice. Our fourth unity principle tells us that through prayer and meditation, we align our heart-mind with God. Through denials and affirmations, we align our heart-mind with God. These are the tools that we use. It's that simple. Pray, pray, take time in the silence, meditate. Sometimes that's not that simple for me, I admit it. I can't quiet my mind, I'm too busy, I don't have the time. Sometimes I give myself a break and I do something what I call contemplation instead. It's kind of like a golden key experience. I just take a few minutes while I'm doing my stretches in the morning or something, and I just think of everything I know about God, and it puts me there. So the rules are kind of loose. Make them work for you however you can. Denials and affirmations, they're very important too. One of my issues that I have most of the time is back pain, right? So I have to deny it. Goodbye, pain. See ya. Go away. Hello, healthy, strong, comfortable body. I am a holy child of God, made in the image of likeness of God. I inherited a strong, comfortable, healthy body. Deny it. Goodbye. Bring on the good, right? So, in conclusion, I'm done already. We can pray and meditate, deny and affirm our way into living a divine life, moment by moment. No more islands for you. You're here. We're on an island. How about that? We can pray and meditate and love each other, deny and affirm our way into living a divine life. And we can start with the great affirmation. The next time someone asks, "How are you?" what are you going to say? I am divine, and yes, you are so very divine, each and every one of you. I love you. I thank you for allowing me to talk. God bless you, and amen.